Harvey Hernandez, what do you want the world to know about you? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want your biggest impact to be when it's all said and done?
Listen, I just want to do my thing, and I just want to innovate, right? I want to innovate for the benefit of all of us, right? And at the end of the day, I just want to, innovation is what makes me happy. I want my family, my kids, right, to learn from that and understand that innovation is crucial for their lives, for everybody's life.
From the Cervera newsroom in sunny Miami, welcome to the Miami Real Estate Podcast, your home for expert insight on all things Miami real estate. I'm your host, Omar Windt. Let's get started.
So, here we go. We're kicking off the new year with a new series, introducing On the Record for the Miami Real Estate Podcast. We're going to be telling the stories of the individuals whose vision, entrepreneurial spirit, and sheer determination are reimagining what it means to live in this beautiful city. Today, we are going on the record with Harvey Hernandez, a visionary real estate developer, innovator, and urban placemaker who has been challenging the status quo in the South Florida market for more than 2 decades. As CEO and founder of Newgard Development, Harvey has had an uncanny ability to observe the city's tremendous capacity for change and progress. What do I mean by that? Well, short laundry list. He was the first developer to launch a major project post the 2008 financial crisis. First to include automated parking in a building, only to follow that up by being the first to design and deliver a building without one single parking spot. That's ironic, right? But he did it. He's also the brainchild of Nativo, the first property designed, licensed, and built for home sharing. And his latest project, Lofty Brickell, is taking luxury home sharing to the waterfront. In just 6 months, it's already 50% sold before the doors to its sales lounge actually opens officially later this month. So he's got his finger on the pulse, and we are excited to hear his story from his native Venezuela to sunny Miami. It is a story of rags to riches and the relentless pursuit of innovation. It is a Miami story. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Harvey Hernandez on the record. Enjoy the show.
I was born in Venezuela, and when I was 19, I decided to move to the U.S., initially to come and study, and then I landed in this beautiful city with the most amazing energy and flavor, and I said I'm never leaving.
So what was Harvey Jr. like, right? Growing up in Caracas?
Yeah, Caracas. And then I grew up in another city called Puerto La Cruz, which is by the coast. Harvey as a kid was a very interesting person, always thinking, always planning, always desiring, and always looking for opportunity. That's really who I was, and I think I continue to be.
How did you like growing up in Venezuela?
It was great. It was an incredible environment, very, very safe, healthy, friendly, with opportunities as well, right? Different country back then.
Sure.
So I don't have anything negative. I think, my life story, when I come from very modest beginnings, so a little bit of struggle, but nothing too traumatic, right?
Right. It's part of, for many of us, and it ignites the fire.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. It gives you that drive. It shows you appreciation, right? And for me, that's everything.
And early mentors as a kid?
A few. I always, I have some family members that are mentors, very, very important figure in my life. I have some people that I met along the way, and I have this guy that I met in I want to say early 90s, probably 1991. That is the one that planted the seed in my mind about moving to Miami.
Okay.
I don't even know his name.
Okay.
I met him for maybe 5-7 minutes in my life.
Where at?
So when I was 17, I had my first business.
Wow.
And it was a computer wholesale business, buying computer parts here in the US, selling them over there. Very specific when it comes to what type of product I was buying. And I had an office inside this really cool sort of chair office concept.
Okay.
And then one day I was going to the kitchen, and I meet this guy, and he's like, "Harvey, who are you? I see you running around every day. What do you do?" So I said, I'm in the computer business. And he goes, "Wow, you're only 17 years old and you're doing all this stuff. I wish you were in Miami. That's where I live. And it's full of opportunity. I mean, somebody like you really can make it over there." So it's like, wow, right?
It opened up the
open up that vision, that horizon for me.
How did you start that business? I mean, 17, that's impressive. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I my first job was in a computer company when I was 16. I was going to the university. I graduated really, really young, high school. So I was going to university at night, and during the day I had this job. And this guy, my boss, had a computer import business. And I found it fascinating. And within a year, I was just doing whatever he was doing, but for myself, because I find it fascinating, but also very doable, right? And that was it. And I remember that I think I had to somehow convince the bank to open a bank account for me, because the legal age to have a commercial bank account was 18 years old or 17. So,
Sure.
It was interesting.
So it is interesting. And so this chance encounter later, then when you have your own business with this gentleman, that inspires you, motivates you to move here to Miami. So tell me about arriving here. You mentioned at the top, the energy and whatnot, but tell me what it was like to arrive in the city for the first time.
Well, first of all, I'll never forget, it was late June 1992, so summertime, and landing at something like 8:20 at night, and there was still daytime. And I'm like, this is bizarre. I mean, I've never seen this before.
Yep.
It should be pitch black, but instead it's like sunset. So at that particular point, I immediately thought, wow, this place is really, really special. And then a beautiful journey started from that point.
So tell me about the journey. So you mentioned college was the excuse coming over here, but you were also an entrepreneur at that point. So how were you dividing your time, or what was sort of like the main focus once you had moved here?
Well, the main focus was to trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do here, right? And I didn't have a lot of money, and my family didn't have a lot of money. So I quickly realized that I wasn't able to go to college and afford college. So I said, well, I have to get a job, right? So my first job was in a restaurant, and I worked there for a year and a half, and it was a wonderful experience. And then from there, I started a series of jobs.
Okay.
I had a valet parking system. Business. I also started buying cars wholesale and selling them. So I was always sort of hustling out there.
So Harvey, what first led you onto the real estate track?
Yeah. So after all these smaller business ventures, I decided to go back to my computer wholesale roots. So when I was 22 years old, I restarted that business. Very, very small. Started in my spare bedroom in my townhouse that I was renting, and it became a really large business. In 5 years, we took what it was, a space that it was 400 square feet, into a 35,000, 40,000 square feet facility, and a bunch of employees and huge amount of revenue. So at that point, in the year 2000, we sold that business,
Mm-hmm.
and I became basically unemployed,
Okay.
right? Because I couldn't compete on that business for a number of years. So I said, well, I need a new challenge.
Right.
And that challenge was the ideal challenge, or that natural challenge was real estate
Mm-hmm.
in the year 2000.
So, Harvey, tell me about that initial foray into real estate. Did you begin by buying and flipping properties, or what was your approach?
Basically started doing exactly that, like buying a fourplex or 8-unit
Mm-hmm.
apartment building and renovated it and renting it and creating value and selling
Mm-hmm.
that product in a year or two, and that became sort of my initiation to real estate
Sure.
development, right? And then it became something that I fell in love with, and I said, well, how about if instead of buying a property, renovating that property and either renting it or selling it, how about if I just build something?
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I'm not an engineer, not an architect. I just knew that I had to sort of associate myself with the best talent out there. So I had friends that were architects, engineers, and attorneys. So I put sort of a great team together, and we started our first development in the Gables area. Our first project was called Gables View,
Okay.
which was so cool because it was 88 units and all condos, and it taught me so much. It's really, really incredible experience.
What was that like when you got the first sale on that in Gables View?
I will never forget. I think that was my first project. We created this very beautiful brochure, and it was medium priced,
Mhm.
right? Medium range, and somebody came in and said, "Yeah, we love what you're doing. We saw the sign on the property, and we like to sign and give you a deposit." Myself and my mother or whatever, sort of like that, some type of family members, and it was fascinating. It was really fascinating. It was the first time that I said, "Wow, how incredible that someone believes in you
Mm-hmm.
to the extent that they decide to give you a check because they believe in what you're creating."
Right.
Really, really incredible experience.
They were the first buyers, but they wouldn't be the last. More than 80 units sold and hundreds of hours of construction later, Gables View became Harvey's first project to go from dream to concrete reality. It also paved the way for a new era for H&H development.
So from there, we moved to others in the same area of Coral Gables. We did Villa Calabria, we did Douglas Place, we did Mediterranean. Then we moved to other neighborhoods. We did Brickell, Design District, Edgewater, and we went to West Palm Beach. We did another one in the Gables. So yeah, we were all over the place. It became a very busy place at H&H Development.
So, Harvey, it seems like things are moving along from Gables View. You've got projects all over South Florida, success after success. And then the big failure that the global community, at least the U.S. community feels, the 2008 financial crisis comes along.
Yeah.
It definitely shook Miami real estate, but tell me about your experience going through that.
Yeah, it was really a disaster, right, for anybody in my industry and other industries. I think it was the first time that we really experienced a setback as a real estate company, and it was something that we didn't see coming. It was something that it was even more severe than what we thought it could be at the beginning of it. But it also taught us tremendous amount of lessons.
Like what?
Like how to be more conservative, how to be more disciplined, how to manage things like leverage, how to manage the relationship between what you borrow and what you build all at the same time, how to be more pay more attention as to reserves and cash reserves and stuff like that. So I'm a firm believer that every crisis is just a learning opportunity,
Right.
and just an education as an entrepreneur. So I think it was overall positive for us. As a matter of fact, after that crisis, what I did was, to stay relevant in the industry, I went and I started buying a ton of foreclosures.
Okay.
Right? We bought close to 600 properties in the courthouse over a year and a half. And we were buying it for pennies of the dollar, right? And that allows us to not only have a business, not only find opportunities, but allows us to continue to have that pulse in the industry, right? Understand where inventory levels were going, understand where consumers were coming back or not. So at some point in late 2010, early 2011, I saw the levels of inventory of new product really dropping dramatically and really, really fast. So I said, there might be an opportunity to really launch a product that really would represent the new Miami.
And what was that? So what did you do with that opportunity?
So that was the beginning stages of Brickell House.
Okay, Brickell House, which was, of course, that was delivered in 2014, right?
Delivered in 2014. We launched Brickell House sometime, I want to say second quarter, third quarter, 2011.
And were you the first project since the recession?
We were one of the first ones, but certainly the biggest first project after the recession.
This was under the H&H flag, or this was now Newgard?
No, that was now Newgard, because at that time in 2010, we said, okay, if we're going to be 2.0 as a development company and apply all the learnings, right, from before, we also wanted to take the opportunity to have our development name represent what we were. And after different iterations, we decided to rebrand the company as Newgard, which is really what it means is new avant-garde, sort of a new 2.0 type of development strategy and approach to the business. And Brickell House was the first project under the Newgard Development Group umbrella.
And I think the avant-garde name was fitting, right? Because there was many. You were the first with Brickell House. You came up with the idea of incorporating the automatic parking garages. Yes.
Well, we did so many things. Brickell House, not only a huge amount of automation, huge amount of innovation design, huge amount of elevation as far as quality and design that Miami didn't have. Like, for example, the first one to have restaurants open to the lobby and being part of a lifestyle.
Interesting.
Almost similar to what you will find in hotels.
Okay.
Hospitality. In addition to that, the first ones to have a building that it was diagonal to the view, so that you have double views without having a big pedestal of parking, super ugly for the first 10 floors. So and in order to achieve that, we brought the first and biggest automated parking garage to Brickell House, which was very innovative back in 2011.
Of course.
And we were able to bring a deposit structure that it was also very innovative. And that particular project, we were getting deposits of 70%.
Wow.
I said, I'm going to prove in this market that people will pay up for the best, right?
Mhm.
And the newest.
Mhm.
And in 6 months, we sold out 384 units.
Wow. So Miami was back, and you proved
Miami
it
was
there.
back.
Where did you go on from? So what's next after Brickell House?
So after Brickell House, we then went to an incredible project called Centro in downtown Miami, the first ever project to be designed, built, and delivered without one parking space.
So you go from automating and innovating parking to no parking at all. What was the thought process on that?
So I've always been fascinated with parking and how we use parking and how we deal with parking in development. So I went to the city of Miami and I said, hey guys, I really think you should allow me to build this building, 352 units, in an incredible location in downtown with no parking, and allow my buyers to really take advantage of all this parking infrastructure that exists surrounding my site for them to park, as opposed to me having to build parking and adding supply to a market that is oversupplied with existing empty parking garages.
So did they see the business argument, or did they think you were crazy there when you said that?
I think at the beginning they thought I was a little crazy, right? But I have to give them credit that they understood what we were saying, and this allowed us the opportunity to pass on the savings on not building the parking garage into our buyers.
And how did the market respond? What did the buyers?
Well, we sold out in a year. It was really incredible, and people got it, and our buyers got it, the city got it, the users got it, and it's a beautiful building. I want to say one of the most interesting looking buildings in downtown.
Well, and it's beautiful, and I think downtown supports some of what we're going to talk about in a little bit. Is, you know, that you can have the building without the parking. Of course, there's surrounding parking, but downtown in Brickell has evolved into this area where you don't really need. They don't have to have a car. You don't need multiple cars.
But this is almost 8-9 years ago. Yeah. So Uber was just starting.
Wow. So you saw the writing sort of on the wall there.
Absolutely. And I said, guys, let's always try new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that has always been our mantra.
So Harvey, you go from automating and innovating parking at Brickell House to delivering the first building without parking at Centro. Where do you go from there?
It was so we developed a few more buildings after that. One of them in particular is called Gale Residences.
Yeah.
In Fort Lauderdale, across from the beach. And in Gale Residences, we did something really special, which was never done in South Florida. And we said, you know, why are we limiting what our buyers can do with their asset? Why are we developers telling our buyers what to do? So why don't just leave it open, let our buyers do whatever they want to do with their asset, whether it's using it as a primary residence or letting them sublease it, right, in the nightly rental space with Airbnb and so forth, or let them rent it yearly, or allow them to keep it empty, right? It doesn't really matter. Who are we to be dictating rules, right? So that became a thing, meaning we had 129 units. We could have sold 200 more units, right? It became so popular, the fact that we were creating product that represented a flexible ownership product.
This was another light bulb moment there.
Absolutely. That has been one of the major light bulbs for us, because it really allows us to understand that there was a market, allows us to understand that this is people who wanted a product like this, and then it led to other things that we became Nativo in the multifamily space and Nativo and Lofty today.
So talk to me a little bit about the Nativo concept, because this was one of your
You made huge headlines there when you launched Nativo and the first building fully licensed, designed and built for home sharing.
So a few years ago, I want to say 4 years ago, I approached Airbnb and I said, guys, I really would like to take home sharing mainstream. And what I meant with that was I really want to create buildings that are purposely designed, purposely built and licensed to be shared. And these buildings will have services, and these buildings will have infrastructure built in as well as technology to make it easy for the owners. And they loved the idea. We developed Nativo together. They were instrumental in the development of the brand. And we now have 2 Nativos launched. Both of them sold out. One in Austin, Texas, Nativo Miami as well, which is 100% sold out and under construction. And then launching Dallas, Nashville, Denver in the next few quarters.
Wow.
So really cool product. It's the type of product that it was created almost like for ourselves, right? I always wanted to own an apartment or a place in every major city that I enjoy visiting, but never was able to justify owning it just to spend 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 weeks, and then the rest of the time will sit there empty. And I always say, listen, if you don't find what you want, you have to build it or create it, and that's what we done with Nativo. And it turns out there is a lot of people that want exactly what we want. Right? So it's very, very exciting. And then for Nativo, we learned that there was another segment, a higher end segment of the same type of, the same way of thinking of our clientele that wanted something more luxury. And that has allows us to create our second Nativo brand called Lofty that we are launching right now in our home city of Miami, which is so special for us, and it's beautiful, a beautiful product.
How is it similar and how is it different to Nativo?
So similar because it's the same business model. It represents the same flexible ownership model for our buyers. How is it different? It's different because it has more services. It's more elevated when it comes to design, more elevated when it comes to furnishings, and in locations that are second to none.
That I think you couldn't pick a better place to have a product like Lofty here in the heart of the action.
Yeah.
Where the restaurants and shopping and everything is out.
So we have been big believers of Brickell, right? We built a product called Solaris back in 2004. Brickell was a ghost town, and it took us a while to sell. I mean, it was like difficult to convince people that Brickell will become what it is today. Now, everybody and their friends and their family, they just want to be in Brickell. Why? Because it's the center of the action. It's the pulse of Miami. Is that place where the best restaurants are opening, the best shopping, the best walkability, the best office buildings, the best energy is located. And when you take that and add the waterfront, which is what we have in Lofty, second to none, right? So when you have the marina component, the walkability, the product, which is incredible, the views, and the business model, it's just incredible product.
I have no doubt it's going to sell out. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're talking here with Harvey Hernandez here on the Miami Real Estate Podcast. In our new profile series here, we're really getting inside the minds of the dreamers, entrepreneurs, and the visionaries that are shaping the city in special ways. Harvey, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I know we're running short on time, so I'm going to wind it down with a couple fastball questions, right? Okay. Just to get in the mind. So, where do you see Harvey in 5-10 years? What's on the horizon for you?
So I don't think in 10 years, probably 5, we want to continue to reshape how people live and how people own real estate. That continues to be our mission, and will be our mission for years to come. We continue to pivot as a company every single year, and not pivot in the sense of changing business model. It's just how we conduct business, how we design, how we choose our locations, and how we choose our interior designers and our partners, because we have a huge responsibility, right? We're responsible for providing the product that we think people will want, and that's something that is we're very passionate about, and that's something that we take very, very seriously. So,
what do you say to developers out there, future would-be developers, right? Because it's a big job. It's a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure. What advice would you give to somebody who was thinking about getting into that professionally?
That's a great question. So the first thing will be you have to love what you do, right? If you don't love the creation, if you don't love every single detail of the process, this is not for you. But if you do, then ask a ton of questions, listen to everyone, and just associate yourself with somebody that you can just, it doesn't matter if you don't get paid, that you can just be a fly in the wall in these meetings, right? And in design meetings and meetings with the city and meeting with the attorneys and the architects, because it's a journey, right? Being a developer is such a complete profession. You have to know so much of everything, from design to construction to legal to finances to marketing. It's really, really incredible. So that's what I will recommend.
Which professional accomplishment are you most proud of?
I'm very proud to be part of the skyline, right? I'm very proud every time that I come back to the city and the plane is landing and I see our buildings, right? I'm very proud of that. I think I'm also very proud of the people that we have that have helped us in this process, and seeing them also grow into other dimensions. I think I'm very proud of always having the energy to try new things and not being afraid of failure, because we have tried things and that have not worked, and it's such as life and business. But yeah, I want to say that and the best is yet to come, because we have great plans for the city and great plans for the product and taking it to other cities in the US. So.
How do you clear your mind as a developer? You're always coming up with these new ideas, you're always on. But what do you do when you have to shut off?
So I tend to travel a lot. I tend to escape the day-to-day, and that helps me, as well as I tend to just go on the water, right? One of the reasons why we live in Miami is because I can, at the end of the afternoon, just jump on a boat and go for a swim. That is, there isn't the biggest chill pill for me than that.
I like that. And a final question for you. So, Harvey Hernandez, what do you want the world to know about you? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want your biggest impact to be when it's all said and done?
Listen, I just want to do my thing, and I just want to innovate, right? I want to innovate for the benefit of all of us, right? And at the end of the day, if we can do that and do it really well and get some recognition, fine. But I just at the end of the day, I just wanna. Innovation is what makes me happy. I want my family, my kids, right, to learn from that and understand that innovation is crucial for their lives, for everybody's life, and hopefully that will be some of the legacy.
I love it. Well, Harvey, we're going to leave it there because I know you got to go, but it's been a pleasure talking to you, and best of wishes to you and the team and the project and and future endeavors. For those of you out there, hope you enjoyed it. This was a new take, a new series, so let us know in the comments and in the reviews what you thought, who you want to hear us speak to next, and reach out to Harvey, let him know what you thought. So if you're enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next week. In the meantime, remember that here in Miami, the future's always bright. Take care, folks.
Thank you.